Welcome back, everyone. Great to be here with you today. Episode 2455 of the Cabral Concept. If you want to head on over there right now, I can share with you my big 3 takeaways for the day, and also a list of the artificial sweeteners as well as regular sweeteners that do and don't break a fast. So head on over. I'll share all of that right there, as well as any research that you may want to go deeper on to see for yourself how all of these sweeteners work. But before we get into the exact list for the sweeteners that do and do not break a fast, what I wanted to share with you was this, is that we need to qualify how we are looking at fasting. Some people simply look at fasting as, does it raise my blood sugar levels or insulin levels? So that's one way to break a fast, right? So if you have a meal, it's going to most likely raise your blood sugar levels to some degree, right? And then as the glucose levels rise in your blood, your pancreas is going to produce insulin. Your insulin is then going to take the sugar out of your blood and then put it in some type of cell like liver, muscle, etc. So, or burn it as fuel. So that's what we're looking at. That's the first essentially metabolic response, right? If we take in some type of food or sweetener that breaks a fast. So some people qualify though fasting as only doing that. Now, it's interesting to look at that because it's not necessarily the case, like for all. Like, let's say you took in coconut oil or ghee or MCT oil and you're taking in calories now. They very well may have no effect on your blood sugar levels, but they will start to decrease autophagy. So that may matter to you. Like, honestly, to me, I care more about autophagy than I care about highs and lows in blood sugar. Like, I've mentioned that many, many times. And the reason is, like, we have to know why we're fasting. Now, some people are fasting just to go longer without eating calories and to keep their blood sugar more balanced, and then it maybe subsequently balance their hormones to a certain degree. Great. Like, I recommend that as well, like if you need that. But for me, and especially in a integrative health-based practice, I'm looking to help people get well. So what I want is cellular cleanup. So if you don't know what autophagy is and literally how it won the Nobel Prize in 2016 for cancer research, I talk about it in my book, The Rain Barrel Effect, but I also have many podcasts on autophagy. So I'm going to link them up here today at stephencabral.com/2455. But for me, I want the autophagy. I want the cellular cleanup. I want to be able to kill those cancer cells. I want to be able to improve autoimmune issues in people, like that, improve gut issues. That's what I'm looking for. So just keep in mind, when you take in certain amounts of protein or calories, it's going to start to then stimulate the mTOR pathway. And that's responsible then for cell growth, right? So then it puts you in more of an anabolic state. Now, this is why a lot of bodybuilders, not all, but a lot of bodybuilders don't like to do extended periods of fasting because it is decreasing mTOR and they want to stimulate mTOR to be able to grow muscle mass, right? Or grow bigger. So autophagy turns off when mTOR is stimulated. So that's an important part to look at that. And so to me, again, it's a happy balance for the person. If the person's more catabolic, more prone to losing weight, I don't want a very long extended fast necessarily for them. But if someone has more muscle mass in their body, more mass in general, more like an endomorph body type or kapha body type in Ayurvedic medicine, then I'm going to use extended fasting. And that's the way that you keep the body in balance. All right, so we've got the first one. We've got increasing glucose, breaks the fast, turns off autophagy. That to me breaks a fast. And the third one is a digestive fast. Now, this is an interesting one because this is not necessarily one that you may even look at. So I kind of look at it as optional. But there's a lot of people out there with IBS-based issues and irritable bowel-based issues, and they're looking to quiet their digestion and give their digestion a rest for a certain period of time. So, again, if you're taking in fats like coconut oil, olive oil, ghee, etc., you are asking your liver, gallbladder to work. You're asking your pancreas to work, and obviously your stomach and your intestines are working. So, like, if you take in food, you're turning on digestion, and so that breaks a digestive fast. So you get to decide from there, like, what type of fast are you looking for, and then we can go from there. And we're going to chat about that now here today. So let's go over the sweeteners that break a fast. Now, the more confusing ones I'm going to save just to the end. The first ones are easy. So, although I like recommending natural sweeteners whenever possible, I just don't like people to overdo them. So, an example will be raw honey. I'll be talking about that. I believe I'm talking about that next week, potentially next week. And it's a really important one too, because this one could be tremendous for a lot of people with allergies or histamine issues. But again, we'll talk about that next week. So honey, maple syrup, cane sugar. Again, you can kind of go back and forth on how processed you think that is. Coconut sugar, any of these sugars with actual calories from sugar are going to break a fast. They're going to break a fast predominantly in the level 1 of breaking a fast, because they're going to most likely raise your glucose levels when done in anything more than about 8 grams or more. So if you take in like 3, that's why it's no longer in the daily nutritional support, but we used to have 2 grams of sugar, literally 2 grams of organic sugar. That's it. 4 grams of fiber, there was 15 grams, still is 50 grams of plant-based protein. It wasn't going to affect your blood sugar whatsoever. But the dogma that's out there is that you can't even have even a little bit of natural sugar because it's so devastating for your body. Well, first of all, that's completely untrue. Second is that most of it is never going to make it to your bloodstream when it's at a very small amount. It's going to be utilized, absorbed, and gone. Like, that's it. It's such a small amount. But anyway, that was like trying to swim against the tide on a daily basis. And so we removed it, which is okay. I'm okay with that. I mean, again, like I formulate based on science, but I also formulate as long as it's based on good health and science to be able to help people. Like that's the truth. So the real truth is, though, when done in excess, all of those sweeteners absolutely do break a fast. So there's no doubt about that, all right? So if it's a sweetener that contains calories, it's breaking a fast. That's just the way to look at it. Now, if you do a small amount, no, it probably won't, all right? That's the honest truth. It probably won't. But most people aren't doing less than a teaspoon of raw honey or less than a teaspoon of maple syrup. If you are, well, you can actually test your own glucose levels 30 minutes or so after having it. Did they spike? Did they go up? Yes or no? And that would be then a question of, did it break then rule number 1? It breaks rule number 1, and it partially, because it's very easy to digest, breaks rule number 3. It may or may not break rule number 2, because really rule number 2 which is autophagy, cares most about amino acids, which is what we're going to talk about right now. So now, there are artificial sweeteners, not natural sweeteners, that break a fast. The first one is sucralose. Sucralose, even though many of these are 0 calories, do break a fast. Now, sucralose is known as Splenda, and that has been shown to actually break a fast, change glucose levels, insulin levels, etc. The second one is aspartame, also known as Equal. Besides this being, I don't know how people still say that this is completely safe. I know that the FDA says that. I know that there are studies showing that it is safe. It's literally a neurotoxin. So for people that are prone to having issues with glutamate and monosodium glutamate, MSG, and with certain neurotoxins, this does a tremendous number on their body. And if you've ever worked with certain populations, autism, executive functioning disorder, a lot of ADHD labeled people, you can see that a lot of these are quite harmful. So we need to be careful with that one, especially since it's amino acid based as well. So this is going to break the second part of fasting with autophagy. And then we have saccharin as well. So saccharin's one that I don't know too many people using saccharin anymore. I still see it, like if I'm out to brunch or something, like there'll be some saccharin on the table of those little colored packets, right? And then that's obviously an issue. So saccharin will also break a fast. So artificial sweeteners are the sucralose, aspartame, saccharin. Those are the most predominant ones. And then, of course, we have the natural sweeteners as well, like honey, maple syrup, cane sugar, coconut sugar, maple sugar, any of these sugars, those are going to be ones that break a fast. Now, interesting enough, though, there are sweeteners that you can use in a decaf coffee, in a tea, in whatever you'd like, that is actually not going to break a fast. So I'm going to go over 4 of them with you. 2 I really love. 1 I'm on the fence about, and 1 I don't use at all in our practice. And I'll share with you why. Now, because again, I'm giving you the research, I'm sharing you with what it says, but then I'm also letting you know what it looks like in real world practice. All right. So the first one is stevia. A lot of people now familiar with stevia. There's all sorts of like random tidbits of people saying, oh, stevia is not healthy for you. It's just not the case. Like, it's literally just not the case. Like, so much so that it's been shown to be antimicrobial. It's good for the gut. I'll give you some of that research in just a moment. Can potentially help with Lyme disease, the actual root cause. So again, anything can be overdone. Please understand that. Anything can be overdone. So, but using small amounts, it looks like it's actually very beneficial. And again, it's natural. It is from nature. The second one is allulose. Allulose, to me, I want to see more research on it, but it holds a lot of potential. I've actually done a review on allulose, and I'm going to link that up here today so I don't spend a lot of your time doing that. Head on over to stevencabral.com/2455. I find allulose to be quite an interesting one. Not quite a sugar alcohol, kind of sugar alcohol, kind of made in nature, kind of not extracted from nature, but it could be one that's actually quite useful in baking and for a natural sweetener that won't break a fast, because these are ones that won't break a fast. All right, so that one I'm not against. I'm just holding out just for a little bit so that I never give you a recommendation that I want to walk back on. I just don't want to do that. If I give you a recommendation, very unlikely I ever walk back on it, because I've done so much research on it. I use it myself, and then also it's been used for a while, right? And I've used it in my practice. Okay. So the third one is monk fruit. So monk fruit is an interesting one, and I like this one as well. It's from nature, and it is not going to be a sugar alcohol. So you want to say without any type of sugar alcohol. And I'm going to give you a little bit more of a tidbit on this one too, because monk fruit is my second favorite. All right, for a non-sugar-based sweetener. And the last one of sweeteners that won't break a fast are sugar alcohols. The 2 predominant ones are xylitol and erythritol. However, they do typically break the third type of fasting, which is digestive rest. So let's take that into account, because in my practice, and we work again with people all over the world, we see people not do very well with sugar alcohols. It causes gas, it causes bloating, sometimes constipation or loose stool, and just overall digestive upset. So we don't use any sugar alcohols in any of our products. We're not huge fans of it. Sometimes there's a little xylitol, and again, I'm not necessarily against that orally, because it's been shown actually to help with, I don't want to say cavitations, but good oral flora of the mouth, so healthy bacteria in the mouth, and can actually potentially help prevent cavities as well. So it's something to look at. Again, I'm not a huge advocate, but not radically against xylitol at all. But I don't use sugar alcohols, because they're part of also the FODMAP-based family. So fructo, oligo, poly, mono, and fructo, oligo, di, mono, and polysaccharides. And so they can actually allow for some fermentation or overgrowth if there's a pre-existing bacterial or candida overgrowth in the gut. So again, technically they do not break a glucose or autophagy-based fast, but they may break your digestive rest fast. Take that into consideration. If you like sugar alcohols, well, then okay, go ahead. That will work for you. Now, I did want to give you my 2 favorites. So my first, without a doubt, is stevia. And that is because stevia has actually been shown to improve glucose levels. Now, I mean, check this out. This was a study, and I'll link this up for you, that this was done with type 2 diabetics, I'm pretty sure. Yes, type 2 diabetics. And it was shown that 1 gram of stevia, and I'm not saying that you're going to take in a full gram of stevia, but 1 gram of stevia reduced postprandial glucose levels by about 18%. That means it actually lowered blood sugar levels after it was taken, or when it was taken with the meal. Pretty impressive, right? And then there was another, this is a 4-month study, also with type 2 diabetics, and it showed that the gram of stevia had, at worst, no negative impact on insulin sensitivity and may show the same improvement. So 2 different studies. One showed not a huge improvement, but no negative effects on glucose or insulin on type 2 diabetics. And the other one showed a positive improvement on glucose. So again, that is why I will use it in some nutritional supplement-based products. One is because you have to sweeten some of these products some way. So you just have to choose your sweetener of choice. And since I don't want the glycemic impact, the blood sugar spike, that's why I use it in things like the daily nutritional support and some of the other products as well. Okay, so the nice thing is too that stevia is, as of right now in the science, it is not digested or absorbed in the gastrointestinal tract. So it passes through the gut and gets broken down by the bacteria in the colon. And so that's why there should be no issues, again, with typically digestive rest as well. And there's no impact then on autophagy too, because there's no calories, protein. It's protein free. So there you have it. So that's why it's my number 1 pick. And again, if you don't like stevia, that's okay. Like, totally fine. There's another one, and this one is called monk fruit. So monk fruit may help with overall longevity. It doesn't inhibit fasting in any way. And to boot, there is a specific, I believe it's called mogricide. Mogricide or mogricide. It's a specific antioxidant from monk fruit that is shown to help with free radical damage, and again, may help with longevity and anti-aging, and it has an activating effect on AMPK, which is the cell signaler for autophagy. So it says, hey, let's kick in autophagy, which I find to be pretty amazing because it's the direct opposite of mTOR. When you can take in some monk fruit and can actually hopefully keep that fast going. Again, it's why we use it now in the daily nutritional support, because so many people are using that for detox as well with the FM and the AYU, that it can, again, help potentially improve detox, autophagy, and overall longevity. So that's what we use in our practice. Again, you're always welcome to choose from the list, but I wanted you to have the exact research on what does break a fast, what doesn't break a fast, and I'll link them up again today at stephencabral.com/2455. Appreciate you tuning in. As always, if this show is helpful, please do feel free to share it with anyone else you believe it could serve.